Let us delve into the era when the United States was merely a concept, a bold aspiration of visionaries. It was a period when ordinary individuals brushed off the dust of suppressed freedom, embodying dreams of independence. We speak of the time of the American Revolution, when the spirit of patriotism and liberty forged a path through the dark days of political oppression. During this juncture, the North American colonies were but pawns in the hands of ambitious European empires. Somewhere between 1754 and 1763, with the onset of the Great French and Indian War, arose the moment when the flames of freedom began to flicker in the hearts of Americans. How could ordinary farmers and craftsmen stand against the mighty British Empire? How did this assembly of inexperienced rebels manage to topple the greatest power of their time? Let us delve deeper into the annals of history and recall those pivotal moments that rendered the American Revolution so stirring. Consider December 1773, the time of the renowned Boston Tea Party. Each of us seems familiar with this episode from school textbooks, but let us immerse ourselves in the ambience of those events as if we were present. Picture ourselves in the port city of Boston, where the fervor of protests boiled over. The British Empire imposed a tax on tea for the colonies, provoking discontent and outrage. Colonists deemed this tax unjust since they lacked representation in the British Parliament, which enacted such laws. On this day, a group of colonists known as the Sons of Liberty took the initiative. They disguised themselves as Native Americans to maintain anonymity and evade consequences. On the evening of December 16, 1773, this band of armed men, under the leadership of Samuel Adams, assembled in the Boston harbor where 3 British merchant ships laden with tea lay anchored. The Sons of Liberty, akin to phantoms of the night, boarded the vessels. It is worth noting that this act was not merely a protest. It was an expression of dissatisfaction and resolve. Concealing their identities, they began dumping piles of tea chests into the sea. This act was not only an act of rebellion, but also a symbolic gesture free from British oppression. Just as tea was free to drift in the open ocean, we can sense the adrenaline and tension of this moment. Voices of protest resonate in the vortex of the cold wind, and the dark waters of Boston Harbor bear witness to the uprising. Tea, frothing in the water, churns as if embodying the very energy of freedom. And when the last tea chest disappeared into the waves, the Boston Tea Party left its mark on history. It was not merely a protest against taxes, but also a vivid signal from the colonists that they would not sit idly by when their rights were infringed upon. The Boston Tea Party became a symbol of resolve, freedom, and unity against British despotism. In this scene amidst the evening gloom of Boston, we witness not just a storm in a teacup, but the beginning of a whirlwind that would soon burgeon into the full-fledged American Revolution. Let's return to the battlefield. Imagine June 17, 1775, when the Battle of Bunker Hill took place. We find ourselves in Boston, on the hilly terrain of Bunker Hill. It was a time of initial clashes, as tensions between the colonists and British troops became unbearable. June 17, 1775, became a day that would go down in history as the day when ordinary people became soldiers of their own freedom. The atmosphere is tense, like a taut string. The great and powerful British troops face off against a group of mostly inexperienced farmers and craftsmen, but full of determination to defend their rights. The military instructions of Samuel Adams echo in the ears, and the ground trembles beneath the soldiers' steps. The command is given, and the British begin to ascend the hill, encountering dense fire from the colonists. Every shot is like a response to the challenge. Every bullet exploding is like a cry of freedom in the face of tyranny. The hill becomes a battlefield, where smoke rises and the scent of hot gunpowder fills the air. Under the command of George Washington, soldiers hold their positions steadfastly, fighting with heroism and determination that create legend. Despite their inexperience and limited resources, the colonists hold their defense. Every shot serves as a reminder of the price of freedom, and although ultimately the British conquer the hill, this day becomes a symbol of the strength of spirit and readiness to fight for independence. The Battle of Bunker Hill, despite its tactical defeat, became a turning point. The colonists showed that they were not willing to surrender, even in the face of a powerful army. It ignited the flame of revolution and reinforced the determination on the path to independence. This hill became a symbol of the strength of the colonial spirit, which, despite everything, continued to march forward toward its own freedom. A pivotal moment, July 4, 1776, the day when the Declaration of Independence was adopted, and the United States of America entered into a bright future of freedom. Against the backdrop of a hot July day, colonial leaders gathered in Philadelphia to make a decision that would change the course of history. And thus, the Declaration is born, like a newborn, full of strength and aspiration for self-determination. The room where these historical events take place is filled not only with the warmth of summer air, but also with excitement before the great leap into the unknown. Under the guidance of Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and other prominent figures, the document takes its final form. It is not just a declaration, it is a kind of litmus test that determines the fate of a new nation. And here it is, July 4th. The anthem of freedom resounds as the Declaration of Independence rises into the air, like a flag of freedom. These lines, beginning with "We, the people of the United States," become a pledge and promise to every individual that they possess inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Applause echoes around the room, but it is accompanied by a tremor in the hearts of those present. This is not just the signing of a piece of paper, this is the signing of freedom. This day is not just a celebration, it is the starting line for a country that decides to forge its own path, against all odds, towards a bright future where every individual can be inspired and build their destiny. But the pivotal moment arrives when the American General Gates makes the decision to trap Burgoyne in an encirclement. Picture this crucial moment when forces tighten the ring around the British Army, creating a historic turning point. Against the backdrop of Saratoga's green meadows, the first notes of change resonate in the course of the war. On October 17, 1777, the British, finding themselves in a trap, are forced to surrender. This event, like a thunderstorm in the annals of war, marks the first time the mighty British Army capitulates to colonial forces. And how did this change the course of the war? The victory at Saratoga inspired France to enter the war on the side of the colonies. Now, the colonists receive additional support and resources, which becomes a pivotal moment in international support from the great powers. The Saratoga campaign was not only a strategic success, but also a spiritual victory that infused new meaning into the American struggle for freedom. And finally, October 1781, the Battle of Yorktown. General Cornwallis, commanding the British forces, faces American and French allies. Here, amidst fields and trees, unfolds the final act of the great drama. Imagine the thundering cannons, smoke hanging in the air, and every shot seemingly touching history. The French fleet under the command of Count de Grasse holds the British fleet, not allowing them even to attempt to break the siege. On the American side, General Washington and French General Rochambeau encircle Yorktown, tightening the noose around the British. Surrounded, the British face difficulties in supplies and support. Each day of the siege is a blow to their disciplined ranks. Americans and French pour their soul and determination into the battle, remembering many years of hard struggle. Imagine this tense silence, broken only by the sound of cannons and gunfire. And then, when the situation for the British becomes untenable, on October 19, 1781, Cornwallis raises the white flag. It was the conclusion of the drama, an epic curtain fall. Yorktown becomes not only a victory, but also a symbol that even a mighty army can be defeated if there is a people determined to fight for their freedom. This battle not only brings an end to the last significant military action of the American Revolution, but also opens a new chapter in history. A peace treaty is signed. Britain acknowledges the independence of the United States of America, and a new nation emerges on the historical stage, free and independent. Indeed, the moments such as the Boston Tea Party, the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Declaration of Independence, the Saratoga Campaign, and the Battle of Yorktown comprise a kaleidoscope of events shaping the face of the American Revolution. This was a struggle imbued not only with the blasts of cannons, but also with the ideals of freedom that ignited a fire in the hearts of ordinary people, making them the architects of their own destiny. Let us recall the key figures of this revolution. George Washington, leading a brave army. They were not angels with wings, but ordinary people standing in formation under enemy fire, amidst cannon explosions, freezing in icy camps. Yet despite all hardships, they continued the fight for their place under the sun. Benjamin Franklin envisioned this individual crawling at night towards electrical storms to understand the nature of energy. And here he is, sitting at the table, imparting his wisdom in shaping the Constitution, as if laying the foundations of the future state. Who would have thought that a man experimenting with electricity would emerge as one of the architects of freedom? Let us not forget about women. Abigail Adams, the wife of the second President of the United States, was not only the First Lady, but also a beacon of reason in the abode of freedom. Like many other women, she played a crucial role, supporting her husband and investing her energy in the struggle for independence. What compelled these individuals to risk everything they had for freedom? Was it merely a vain idea, or an unwavering belief that freedom is worth living and dying for? Perhaps it was something deeply ingrained in each heart, like a call of destiny. Delving into the history of the American Revolution, we see that these events are not just frozen facts in textbooks. It was a living, simmering process in which ordinary people did something extraordinary. And though these days have long passed, they left us with a legacy of freedom that we feel in every moment today. Following in the footsteps of those who stood at the forefront of freedom, let us not forget to cherish what we have. This is America, a country born in the fire of struggle, yet remaining a symbol of freedom and independence.